Today I'm talking to Joshua Smith. He's been a real estate agent since 2003. What's so awesome to listen to and interview Joshua about is just his completely outside the box way of doing things. He started business and went from broke to top agent in the first 12 months. In his first 18 months, while he's a top agent, he actually had never listed a house. Once he decides to take on listings, again, he approaches it from a completely outside the box way and is just exponentially successful at it. Once he masters his listings and his buyers, he then grows his business into a team. Well, not only does he lead a team that's strong, profitable, and growing, he leads the team to a level at which he can step outside the team and grows the team even stronger and more profitable. Today, he's going to walk us through all of that and tell us exactly how he did it. Thanks for listening to the Jere Metcalf Podcast, where top real estate agents tell how they do it. This podcast is to share knowledge for realtors and raise awareness for Give Back Homes, where real estate professionals work together for social good. Jet Centers Aviation, Bentley Atlanta, Legends Global, thank you for your sponsorship. All right, everybody, this is the Jere Metcalf Podcast, where top real estate agents tell how we do it. I'm so excited because we have the famous Joshua Smith with us today with his own amazing podcast, GSD Mode, and he's going to tell us how he did it. So, Joshua, give us your story. How long have you been in the business? I know you've got a huge team now on your own podcast. Give us kind of the overview of how you've done that and how you've gotten where you are now.
Yeah, no, awesome. So it's an honor to be here. So I'm going on my 12th year in the real estate business. And as most things have kind of transpired in my life, I got into real estate as a stepping stone to do something else. So I grew up in the health club business. My dad owned and operated gyms for 30 years. And I'm 23 years old. I'm a college dropout. I'm broke as a joke, horrible credit. But I'm a manager at a local health club facility. And I realized at that point it just clicks where the only way I'm going to be able to create what I really want to create, the financial lifestyle I wanted to create, the opportunities for my future family at that point. I didn't have a family then, but I started getting clarity on what I wanted my future to look like at that point in my life. And
wait,
I
pause
realized
for a
I had
minute.
to
How long
get
ago was that? That was what year?
That was 12 years ago. So I'm 35 now. I was 23. Yep. So then I'm like, well, dude, I got to get into ownership, right? So the facility I wanted to open, I started running all the hard numbers on it. It was going to cost $800,000 to open. I mean, it's not a cheap industry to get involved in, right? So, but shitty credit, right? I'm a college dropout, no money to my name. Nobody would give me a loan.
Yeah. Perfect recipe for a real estate agent.
Right? So I know, right? So thank God they didn't, though, right? Because I mean, the concept that I had would have flopped, right? So anyway, though, at that time, it's 2005, Phoenix, Arizona. The real estate market's on fire. I'm like, what industry can I get into? I love people, I love sales, and I'm a workhorse. Like if I don't work 80 hours a week, like I'm just depressed, right? Like I love to grind, I love to work, I can't sit still. So and then I had $1,000, so now I'm like, what can I also get into as a college dropout with only $1,000 in my bank account? Like what can I get into? And real estate was it, right? So
we have that
got licensed in 2005. Yeah, and one thing I did that I would say really catapulted my career is so many people will go through real estate school and they wait to have a plan. So I started interviewing other agents before I even decided on the career. And one kind of common thing was get a plan in place now. Because when you go to real estate school, it's going to teach you about contracts, teach you how to keep your ass out of trouble, right? But it teaches you nothing on how to go out there and create business. Now, you got to also understand, I had been in sales. I started selling memberships for my dad in the health club business since I was 14, right? So I started prospecting and not obviously doing a lot of sales at a young age. So I kind of like in the health club space, man. I know it's a little different today with technology, but at that time, we had to turn in daily call sheets that we had to do 100 cold calls every single day. And if you didn't turn in your call sheet and do your calls, you couldn't get on the up system for the next day, meaning you couldn't take any walk-ins. And, you'd make a very small salary and you'd make all your money really through commissions, right? So you always wanted to be on that up system, right? And I always wanted to be number one on the up system. So, I was used to pounding the phone. I go out there. possibly could. So by the time I got my real estate license, like I had a plan in place. It was no, okay, let me go figure this out, go through my brokerage training, go hire a coach at that point, whatever. It was like I knew exactly what to do. And I just aligned with what my strengths were. So in the health club space, it's like, okay, what happens? Somebody walks in the door, the front desk, if you're an intelligent health club owner, your front desk is going to be positioned where it obstructs their path. They can't get to the workout floor without hitting that front desk, right? So then from there, they fill out a guest registry, right? You're doing the tour, you're connecting with them, you're finding out what their goals are, eventually the tour ends. You're trying to convince them that you're the solution, and you go for the sale. So I'm like, boom, open houses, exact same process. And
you've already had tons of practice. So
yeah, I mean, at that point, 9 years, right?
Wow, and most people don't even think of it that way.
Yeah, so I even at that time, I went out there and I get set up a card table with a tablecloth, because I'm like, well, most agents are setting up, because they started visiting a lot of open houses too at that point, just trying to see, okay, what's a successful open house look like, what it doesn't look like. And this is all before I got licensed. I'm realizing, dude, everybody's set up in the kitchen. That would be like me having my front desk station in the back of the office, right? So I go buy a card table with a tablecloth, and boom, within 3 feet of opening that door, boom, they're hitting my card table, right? So and I was just diligent at making everybody to sign in, register, doing the tour process, and now people always say you got lucky, you got your first client in 4 days, and the luck was they were cash, right? And I closed the deal within 30 days of being licensed, but I was doing 3 open houses a day for every single day, and I did this for a long time in the real estate business. But even on my 4th day in the business, I'd already done 12 open houses. Right?
Yeah. Well, the harder you work, the luckier you get. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So ended up just again, great first year, 48 transactions, like $280,000 in commissions.
That was in your first year.
Yep,
awesome.
First year. And well, the market was on fire. That was the biggest boom really we've seen in history at that time. So it was anybody that was willing to work their ass off was making a ton of money. But the goal was I gave myself 4 years to raise the capital to go open this health club facility. So I'm like, okay, this isn't enough, right? But I also got to that point where I hit a capacity where there wasn't enough hours in a day. And this is, you're talking 2005, 2006, teams weren't really big. There was no YouTube. There were no, great podcasts like yours where you could learn from people that did it.
Yeah.
So I just had to go off my health club experience. And at that point, I'd been, successfully had done a bunch of pre-sales and opened up new facilities for the employers I worked for. And I just followed the process, right? In the beginning, when we do pre-sales, it was just me selling all the memberships.
That's so brilliant. Yeah.
Coming in, right? Like here was your first hire, who would be a front desk person. Then eventually you start hiring salespeople, and
that's just
so
genius.
I just followed,
yeah.
So it was just all about eliminating capacities, and I just followed that plan. So at the end of my first year, I hired my first assistant, who actually is still with me today. She's really the team leader today of my team. And then, 8 weeks after I hired her, again, I just kept pounding the pavement. So I wasn't taking the foot off the accelerator. I had somebody taking off 8 hours a day of stuff for me. So then about 2 months after that, though, now my schedule's booked out 3 weeks with appointments. So then I'm like, okay, well, now I need another salesperson. So started just taking it from there. And then, I don't know how deep we want to go into this, but then, of course, right at that same time is when the market falls out.
That's what I was wondering about. Yeah.
Yeah. So the blessing I had, though, was because I was still so new and I felt like I was pulling out a blank piece of paper and having to reinvent myself every day anyway, that when the market crashed, like, dude, I didn't have any bad habits really to fall back on. I wasn't comfortable yet, right? So it was a very easy transition. And what I found with this, because I've been through, several ups and downs now, the real estate game doesn't change, right? There's no such thing as a bad market. It's just identifying whom is the market good for, and then targeting your prospecting marketing efforts to those, and just understanding real estate trends, right? And what I love about real estate, it's so damn predictable. These markets don't shift on a dime. You can slowly see inventory creeping up. You can slowly see it creeping down. Like right now, as we're on this podcast here in 2017, I mean, we're starting to attack short sales again, even though our market's still hot, right?
Wow. Okay.
But I know, right? It's gonna. That's the. Yeah. Right. So I mean, we're seeing NODs notice of defaults, 30 notice of defaults are starting to creep up again, and what goes up has come down. So then, just continue growing that. So transition from, heavy traditional real estate business to heavy short sales REOs to heavy investor hedge funds when kind of those at the very bottom of the market, when there wasn't a lot of REOs and as many short sales, but that's when a lot of the big hedge funds and investors were buying up. And then we transitioned back to, a traditional real estate business. And now I don't want anybody to think that any of this has been easy, but in 12 years, I've yet to have a year that my business wasn't better than the previous year. So regardless of what's happened, we've continued to grow. It's still a hustle, it's still a grind, but that's where we are today.
So something I think about with you, you've got, when I listen to you talk about your business and what you do, you've got a real a strong ability, because it's more than luck after 12 years of being able to, first of all, you're a hard worker. No matter what you're doing, you're working hard, you're building your business, you're getting better. But on the other side of that, you've got this ability to bring people in. And it sounds like, sure, you've had your challenges, and I'd love to know, because the picture I see is you got busy, you recruited people, you put people in place to support you so you could continue growing. I think one of the biggest challenges in our business when it comes to teams is people will start that process, and not me included, and go, whoa, wait a minute, this isn't working. It's easier just to do it on your own rather than try to manage all of these people. Is there a piece of advice or a secret? Or I'm sure, everybody has challenges. I don't think it's that you didn't have challenges. It's that you had the ability and the foresight and some talent to be able to put that together and make it happen. And what was that? What were your ups and downs of building teams and growing your business through that?
Yeah, the cool thing about this is I have a ton of experience, right? Not just my real estate business, but I have 7 total companies. I have hundreds of people that work directly and indirectly.
Well, tell us what your companies are real quick.
So everything's either real estate related or health and fitness related at this point. So inside the real estate business, we've of course got my real estate team, my real estate business there, and then we have a website CRM company called Perfect Storm. So that's at perfectstormnow.com. Because what was happening is I'd get so many people that would come up to me. A lot of these real estate agents that would see me speak or listen to the podcast or whatever, that were looking for, like, hey, I want to be able to do what you do, but man, I can't afford that $1,500 a month website CRM. Like, who can afford that? So, and just out of curiosity, I started doing a lot of research and just seeing what I could advise people on, and we couldn't find it, right? So then I just said, screw it. Plus, I'm a creator, right? That's me.
Yeah.
I like to, I have my, like, I don't even wear other people's clothes. I have my own apparel and clothing line.
I see, love it. It's like whether it's your clothes or whatever you're doing, you're going to generate an income off of it. It's awesome.
But anyway, though, we went out there and created that. You got like Boomtown at $1,500. Like, how do we create the affordable Boomtown at $200 for a real estate agent that's every bit as effective for them to go out there and dominate their business?
Yeah.
And we've been able to do that. So we've been live now for about 2 years. We have roughly about 800 clients now.
Is that Perfect Storm?
Yep, perfectstormnow.com.
Okay, and is that also a CRM and a lead generator?
Yep, website and lead generator. And one thing, like, I'm diligent on, this is probably just my own personal beef, but I hate third-party lead generation companies like Zillow, right?
We have that in common. Yeah.
Right? So and my biggest thing is whatever's giving you an ROI, run with. Like, I'm not one of these guys that will ever say stop doing something that's working, right? So if you're getting a great ROI, I would never advise that you stop it. However, I believe in learning how to fish for yourself instead of being reliant on other people to feed you. So we're not just a website and a back-end CRM database, right? I mean, we kind of look at ourselves as a coaching firm that just provides the software backed behind it, right? So we're teaching our agents how to go out there and generate massive amounts of leads on their own for free and on paid ads. And, so we coach all of our clients and teach them, and all that's part of the service. Awesome. So there's no additional fee for that.
Yeah.
So we've got that, and then I'm just having success in real estate. And it really started when I won the NAR's 30 under 30 award, like back, I don't know, like 2012 or whatever. Started getting a lot of national publicity, right, to speak a ton, and so then that led to a lot of people reaching out, hey, do you offer coaching? And I just was busy as I was, and people that yeah, I'll offer coaching, but my time is very valuable, and I've got to put a dollar amount to my time, and that's more than most people can afford, right?
Right.
Like when I calculate
Well,
my
especially if
time
you're
right
new
now.
in the business. So wait, but I still want to get down to that answer about teams and when you were growing your business and yeah.
Okay, so anyway, back to that, right? So the biggest mistake that not just real estate agents, but anybody, any entrepreneur that's hiring makes is they don't understand that the people aren't the most important part of your company. Right? The most important part of your company is your systems and processes, because
Wow.
people, no matter how
Yeah.
great they are, can never show you their greatness if they don't have proven successful processes and systems to follow. So a process is just how you do what you do to create success. So maybe I get a call right now from a lead, a seller lead. My process would be, okay, here's the questions I'm going to ask. Here's how I'm going to set the appointment. Here's how I'm going to prepare for the appointment. Here's how I show up to the appointment, how I conduct the appointment, how I get the signed listing agreement. The system is the checklist and manual around that, right? So you've got to, once you've created a proven model that's created success for you, which if you're ready to hire somebody, that means that you've created a successful process for yourself.
Right. Yeah.
But the only way that will be able to be duplicated and taught to others is to create systems and processes around that. So I look at everything. Every business is systems, processes, and numbers, right? So I've got to have everything's got to have a process.
Processes, and numbers. Yep.
Yep. So your process is dialed in. Systems built around the processes to go out there and ensure, because systems will ensure the processes happen over and over and over. Things aren't missed. They're duplicatable and scalable. And from there, I'm a total numbers guy, right? The path is in the math. Every successful entrepreneur knows their numbers intimately. Real estate agents typically have this huge resistance to numbers and spreadsheets. But I always preach to my teammates, I'm like, dude, you are not serious about your business if you're not tracking your numbers, right? You can tell me all day and you can cry to me all damn day about how much your family matters to you and how you want to create all the success. But if you're not doing your daily trackers, you're absolutely 100% full of shit, right? It's just the reality of it, right? So like I want to know, and I know this per every single lead source, I know exactly how many leads, how many reach outs, how many conversations, how many appointments set, how many conductions, equates to how many clients, to how many closings. I know the ROI in those percentages. We have those down to a science, right? So then from there though, then people matter, right? So I don't want to say people are important. People are massively, massively important. But if you don't have those things dialed in, you're just going to fail your people. When people come to me, when entrepreneurs or real estate agents come to me and they say, oh, my biggest challenge is finding great people. Right away, I know their systems and processes absolutely suck, right? There's no shortage of great people. There's a huge shortage of great leaders, right? There's just a ton of just shitty leaders. So, so you've got to have that dialed in. So like contract to close, we've got our 17-point contract to close process. Everybody follows the same process. I just hired a new TC on Tuesday, transaction coordinator. So 2 days ago, right? And within less than a week, she'll be fully trained. She knows what to do. She has a system to follow. She has reference guides. She doesn't need to eat up a bunch of my time. We allow her to be resourceful, and we give her the ability to find the information that she needs when she needs it, and to do a great job and duplicate the same job that everybody else does inside the organization. So then from there, then it comes to people. And then with the great thing about systems and processes, you can inspect what you expect at that point. Right. So I know instantaneously if somebody's doing the work. Right. I know what people's capacities are. I know what
now
this
you
looks
say
like.
that because you're in your systems and processes. They're tracking I guess you've got the system and their processes to check off what they do when, or how do you know?
Yeah. I mean, we know exactly based now. Okay. People can lie about, let's say I bring on a new buyer's agent and they're lying about their numbers. They can only lie for so long. Right.
Yeah.
And it's like Jim Rohn said, he's like the great thing about tracking the numbers is the boxes are small. There's no room for an excuse inside the box, right?
Like that. Yeah.
Didn't work. And the other thing about being a leader is it's not just all about, they're not hitting their numbers, so they're gone. It allows me to identify where there could be potential choke points. Like maybe, for example, their appointment set to appointment conduction ratio is low. Well, then I know at that point maybe they're not selling the value of the appointment enough, and they have a high cancellation or no-show ratio. So now I know how to coach them better. Or if they're going on their listing presentations and let's say they're only converting 60% when they should be, 75 to 80% depending on how seasoned they are. Then I know from there, okay, how that's more practice and role playing and things that I need to coach and work with them on. So then from there, once all that's dialed in, the biggest mistake I've made as a leader after that is, you kind of go into this expectation that everybody's going to be like you and driven like you.
Yeah.
And the reality is you don't want you inside your organization, because if they're you, they're going to become your competition, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So from there, then I didn't know how to effectively lead people. I mean, I provided all the systems, I provided all the process, I provided all the training, but I didn't know necessarily how to inspire people to go out there and take more action. And I kind of started off as a very tyrant leader, if you will, right? And
well, you don't understand, because you've got this incredible drive that it's natural for you to work 80 hours a week, and you don't understand. How can you understand why nobody else would?
Yeah, I'm just like what do you mean you're not taking the call? Picking up the calls. You tell me that your wife and your kids are the most important thing in the world to you, and you're not willing to be rejected by the stranger. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like, what
that's a good one,
work, right?
Yeah.
And that's but that's not the way that you can lead people. So everybody's probably heard the saying of I can lead the horse to water, but I can't make them drink. So then leaders think your job is to lead people to water, which is false, right? Your job as a leader is to make the horse thirsty. Because once they're thirsty, then they'll be begging you to lead them to the water, and then they'll drink, right? So how do you make somebody thirsty?
Yeah.
You make somebody thirsty by becoming the light, right? You got to be the example. Leadership happens within. Where I was trying to make leadership an external process, not an internal process. So I just found that I just had to go deeper on working on myself, creating more success for myself, being the light, being the example, which then would create a culture and environment.
Awesome.
Where then I'd have a bunch of people that in my company that would become thirsty, then beg for the path, and then people outside of my company, right? I mean, same thing. That see what we're doing, see what I'm doing.
Well, I think too on the people component is when if that's who you are, that's what you attract. You attract what you are. So the more, of course, there's going to be a little bit of diversity from that or whatever, but for the most part, kind of, you create a culture and you create the better person you are and the better practice you have. You create that culture, you're going to attract more and more of those things versus the opposite. But I guess give us an example of kind of some experiences you had in having your team and kind of going through that. How did you figure that out? Because you literally, it's like you just kind of flipped it. Like you're like, I thought I had to make people do this and take them to water and they won't drink it. And was there a story that happened, or how did you figure that out?
It's all this stuff sounds so cool and fun, right?
Yeah.
But it's a long process, right? It's been, people look at me now and they're like, oh, dude, you created so much success at 35 years old, by the time you're 35, whatever. And all this is great. I'm like, yeah, but in the 12 years, I think I've worked as much or many hours than most people do in their whole entire lifetime, right?
Yeah.
So, a lot of it is, so one of my mentors, Darren Hardy, who I love to death and I'm a huge fan of, he talks about like the fly. You see this fly trying to get out of the window and it keeps just banging its head against the window.
Right.
Where if it would just take a step back and then analyze everything, it may realize, hey, if I slide over 7 feet to the left, there's a slider door that's open. And I can get out. And I was the fly, right? Just beat my head. So the hard part when you're inside your own business is you're in it, right? It's like you're the quarterback on the field. You're trying to analyze all the players, and then boom, you get blindsided by the linebacker. So you need that person in the skybox. So, I realized about 2 years into this that, I needed a coach. I never really had a coach in my previous industry, because it's the health club industry, and I always, I guess I had the owners and mentors inside that space to that were my mentors, and that could kind of be those eyeballs on me. But I never actually at that point went out there and paid for a coach. And so 2 years into it, I realized the power of having a coach, having somebody that's not emotionally attached to my business. That's the person in the skybox that can see the blind spots I can't see. And I've yet to go any period of time without a coach in the last 10 years. I mean, right now I have 4 coaches, right? So,
wow.
So that was, I wished I could say that I was intelligent enough to figure all this stuff out on my own, but the reality
That's
is
great advice. So four, how do you find the time for 4 coaches?
You make the time, right? So there's no such thing as a time shortage. There's no such thing as time management, right? There's 168 hours in a week. So let's say I work 80 of those. Let's say I go to the gym an hour a day, so that's 5 hours a week. And then let's say I sleep 6 hours a night, right? So 42 hours a week. I mean, that leaves me still with, over 40 hours left in my week, right?
There's plenty of time. Yeah.
People, there's plenty of time. You just got to make the time, and you got to prioritize things and figure out what's important. And then everything is a book that I highly recommend everybody read is called Essentialism. It's one of the best books I've ever read. And he talks very heavily in there of identifying what's essential in your life and identifying what's noise. And the issue is 95% of what happens out there is noise. Only 5% is truly essential to you going out there and creating the outcomes that you want. So, a lot of it is just getting clarity, getting crystal clear on exactly what it is that you want. Or if you don't know what you want, because I get that. I mean, I haven't always known what I wanted.
Yeah.
I always could identify what I didn't want, right? I think
process
we can all
of elimination. Yeah.
And then just understand that every decision that you make, every action that you take is a choice, right? So then it boils down to trade-offs, right? Mm-hmm. So like I'm having this podcast with you, I'm trading off this hour with you of our time together for something else that I could be doing, right? So like let's say I go to the copy machine and the agent that's in my office, like let's say I'm at a big brokerage or whatever, and I have my own buildings now, so I purposely I'm away from the brokerage just because of these situations. Yeah. But let's say I go to the copy machine and there's this other agent there and they want to vent to me about how shitty of an experience they're having with that another agent, right? Which I'm sure we've all experienced that a million times. And let's just say I take 20 minutes of my time to listen to them vent. Well, I've chosen now to trade off 20 minutes of time that I could be investing with my wife, investing with my kids, investing in the coaching, investing in my health, investing in, growing my business. So it's just understanding trade-offs and always having that conscious awareness of, is this a good trade-off? Is this getting me one step closer to the outcome that I want or no? I mean, it takes time. I mean, like people will I was just interviewed by Inc. Magazine on the radio show, and the dude's like, dude, like, hold on, you're just a freak, right? Like, how does this even happen? I'm like, well, it's 12 years. It's been 12 years of life.
Well, the compound, right? there's the compounding effect. I think there's a book, I want to read it, something about the compounding effect. But the compounding effect of everything you do, all those 20 minutes that you disregarded it's just 20 minutes, they add up. All of that adds up.
Yeah. So the compound effect, that's written by Darren Hardy, who was talking about the fly story. So he's one of my mentors and coaches right now.
Okay.
So,
cool.
Like for example, I'm getting ready in 2 weeks to go fly out and spend 3 days with him in San Diego, and it's a business retreat, but that 3 days, right? That's a trade-off that I'm having to take for my wife, kids, my businesses. But again, it's just making those decisions of those trade-offs, and it gets better. You're going to develop more self-discipline over time.
When you're in San Diego, you've got to say hi to Seth O'Byrne, awesome real estate agent in San Diego. You're going to have him on your show. Incredible marketing, and maybe Coca-Cola does marketing at that level. Unbelievable. But no, anyway, I wanted to make sure you got that before I forgot to tell you. But go ahead with what you're talking about with the San Diego time, trading off time.
Yeah. So and I'm sorry, I go on these side tangents, but
I love it.
The reality is there's no shortage of time. I've yet to meet anybody that takes the time every single day to reflect at the end of the day and to go out there and plan their next day that complains about time management, right? If you just get up in your reactive state and you want to go out there and be a Pop-Tart inside your business, you're going to have time management issues, right? But I take 20 minutes every single evening. I reflect on my whole entire day. I plan out the next day. I do that before I go to bed. I want to have a game plan from the second my eyes close to from the second my eyes open to the second my eyes closed that next day, a game plan of what must happen to make today a win. And time is never an issue. I'm never in a rush, right? I'm not saying that I don't work, I'm not one of these guys that's like, work smarter, not harder. I'm like, no, work smarter and work harder. That's just, my philosophy on it. But I love to work, right? So I really don't enjoy doing many things outside of work, which that's I would do what I do right now for free, right? So,
Yeah.
but anyway, so then let me kind of retract back to running teams, because this is so important, and nobody ever talks about this. Like, so many agents are so reluctant to talk about splits and structures, and I don't know if it's a thing of they don't really know it, or if it's a thing of they feel that's maybe their secret sauce, right? There's no secret pill. There's no secret sauce. The only magic pill is consistency, right? So then from there, the first mistake that I made is leading people the wrong way. I was trying to push rope. You can't push rope, right? As we talked about.
Yeah.
The next thing then is split structures, right? Because if you're growing your organization, you're growing your team, eventually, hopefully the ultimate goal is to be able to step out of production, right? Not saying that you can't go out there and close deals, but if your business is reliant on your own production to generate income, you really don't have a business. You have a high level paying job, right? So the ultimate goal then is to create a business that supports that's self-sufficient, that's self-supporting, but also pays you a salary to cover your expenses. Then anything that you sell, just because you want to go out there and sell it, and it's extra income icing on the cake, right? Well, as you stop selling, there's a few things that happen. Your people aren't going to be necessarily as dialed in as you, so their conversion ratios are going to be a little bit less, so you got to be cognizant of that. So anytime, like when I was making the transition out of selling, I just removed my numbers from the whole entire equation. I would track my numbers separately from everybody inside my company's numbers, and I made every decision based off of the reality of their numbers. And then too, you got to pay them. They're not going to work for free, so you got to pay them a split. So then let's just say, like on the buy side, for example, I run a 50-50 split on the buy side. And this is in, when I'm, because you got to remember, I mean, we're not just giving leads. I mean, we're giving leads, we're setting the appointments, we're, providing all the contract to close, all of that stuff. So now I'm getting half the commission that I was getting when I was actively selling, plus I've got to pay for rent space, support staff, websites, systems, all of this stuff. So, like a huge mistake that I made when it came to split structures is I initially went 50-50 on the listing side too. And then what I realized there is by the time everything was said and done, there was no money left, right?
Because you were basically paying for everything and only taking half. Is that,
Yep. So like now today, my agents get 35% on the listing side, right? That and this is in those that we're actually giving the leads to, right? So but and then people be like, well, why would an agent ever sign up for that? All right, well we're generating the leads. We don't just generate the leads. We set the appointment. All they have to do is show up for the appointment, do the consultation. They then hand that off to a listing coordinator. The listing coordinator, your average listing coordinator from the listing input. The listing
coordinator part's huge.
Right? I mean, that's 5 hours per file, at least here in Arizona, of time that they save. Then it goes back on the market. So it goes on the market. The agent steps back in for contract negotiations. Then once a contract's executed, they hand it to contract to close department. And they don't touch it until, once it closes, they congratulate their sellers and they're on to the next deal. So the contract to close, our average time investment in that here in Arizona is 10 hours, right? So it saves them 15 hours per listing. Plus they don't have those time investments. Plus they're not having to invest time on lead follow-up, whatever. Because most agents, leads aren't the problem. It's their inability to convert leads to appointments that are the problem.
You are
so we
exactly
solve their
right.
problems. And then we also increase their capacity so they don't make way more money, right? And then but this also, you also have to be cognizant of how you pay your support staff. Like you got to know your numbers, right? Like I know what my numbers are to a point where, okay, I know that we're at $447 hard cost into a listing from a listing input, photo, sign, lockbox, and that also includes the contract to close process. And we're at $200 roughly for the contract to close process, or it's within pennies of that. So then I know how I can pay my people with that. I see so many people like, oh well, I'm going to hire a transaction coordinator. I'm going to pay them a big bonus per file. Okay, that may work when you're out there selling and you're not doing a lot of deals, but you get to the point where you're doing big volume, big numbers, and the profit margin gets thinner and thinner. That becomes more difficult to do, right? So, And then here's the cool thing too. Another book that I highly recommend, and it's one of the top business books, really, of all, well, not all time, but of our time. And it's called The E-Myth Revisited by Michael. And inside the E-Myth, he talks a lot about what we've talked about today. I mean, I've learned so much from that book. Anyway, though, he talks about you need to have such great systems and processes inside your business that average people can deliver a great result. Now, I'm not saying I necessarily want average people, but we're not Apple computers, right? Like, we can't go out there and afford the top best talent on the planet when it comes to, support staff and whatever. So I need to bring in somebody that, now minimum wage where I'm at is $8 an hour, right? So I need to bring in somebody that I can pay 15 or 17 bucks an hour on the admin side that can get a brilliant result. Yeah. Right. So and that's what systems and processes allow you to do.
Well, set people up for success, which is back to your systems and processes is exactly what they do. So I don't want to take away from anything you want to say by diverting with another question, but when you recruit team members, because I think a lot of people, and when they're in the beginning phases and they haven't gotten the wisdom and the structure and the systems that you've got, you recruit people, they're talented, they're like, yeah, thanks, bye. And they go do their own thing. Have you created a way to really attract talent? But it's like you said, you don't want yourself, but at the same time, I think by being who you are and being so successful, you're going to attract talented people because they're going to want to learn from you to also be successful. Do you have any advice or any thoughts on attracting that talent? And I have some thoughts of my own, just in how things I've heard you say, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on when you bring in talented people, retaining them.
Yeah. So, retaining people is about creating an environment, a culture, again, a system. People leave when they're not creating success, when they're having pain inside the world, because very few human beings today are true leaders. A true leader means you take 100% responsibility for your own actions, right? So everybody's pointing the finger, it's this person's fault for my lack of success, right? So, we want to eliminate all of that off the table. So we've got actually, is this being videoed or is it just audio?
I think it's video. No, this is video.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I know you and I are on video. I just know if your audience will see that.
No, we'll do this on video, yeah.
Yeah, so like this right here that you guys are seeing right here.
But we'll tell us what it is too, because some of it's
So this is our company. This is our company playbook. We call it our team Bible. Right? So this is our proven system. It's a big 6-inch binder, right? So we have it here. We also created our own back-end online website where everybody can log in. And so all this is video-based and in our manual, but there's no guesswork. Nobody inside my organization can come to me and say, I'm not succeeding because I didn't know what to do, right? They were either too lazy or uncommitted, which is kind of the same thing, or they're too incompetent to handle the job. Any of those reasons, I don't want them with my company anyway. So you've got to eliminate any element of entitlement that can happen inside your company, right? And I will tell you this too, it's way easier to run a large team than a small team. So let's just say I only have 2 agents on my team. It's easy for them to kind of mastermind and team up together and be like, the leads suck. Well, if I have 10 agents, right? So every sales organization, real estate's the same way, follows this. So you always have your top 20%. Yeah. You have your bottom 20%, and then you have what's called your middle 60%, which are your influencers that really make or break your company, right? Those are the ones that need the accountability, need the frequent meetings, need to be fired up, right? And those are the people that you can get from closing 1 deal a month to 3 deals a month, if you do it right. So when I have 10 people, I'm going to have 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom, and of course the 6 in the middle. So when those 2 at the bottom are coming to me, I'm like, the leads suck, right? And we're a totally transparent organization where everybody can see everybody's numbers, what they're doing. And I'm like, okay, so let's just say Joe. So Joe on the team, closed $50,000. Like our top agents will make 40 or 50 grand net, right, a month after splits, after all said and done.
That's
so
awesome.
These guys,
that's how you retain your talent. But yeah.
So but then when they come to me with those problems, I'm like, look, here's their numbers. They're in the same marketplace. They have the same support, same system, same everything. Yeah. Last week, Joe made 578 dials. I pull up their tracker. You made 18, right? So you can blame you can point the finger however you want to point the finger, right? That's up to you. That's your choice to do that. However, if you're interested in discussing the real problem here, let's talk about the real problem and help you be successful. Because if you want to bail, dude. I really don't want like based on what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
If you're here anyway,
exactly.
Right? But you're going to continue if you continue this behavior, continue this path, you're gonna continue failing, right? So if we want to talk about the real solution, let's talk about the real solution. And so. That's where, again, numbers, tracking, and then I found running a bigger team is so much better. So the other thing too is I lock everybody to year contract, and there's no getting out of that year contract. I have a very high powered attorney. That's written it, and people have tried. But even if they leave my team, even if they leave the brokerage, they have to pay me the same split for that whole entire year. Right? Because what we found is like in the first 6 months, let's just say it's a brand new agent out of school, it might really get them, it's going to take them 2 or 3 months to really learn all the systems, processes, listing presentations, and they may stumble across a couple of deals here and there, but it takes them a few months to really get this down and become a good real estate agent, right? Then from there, right, everything that we do today, we don't see the fruits from that for another 3 to 4 months. So 6 months, let's say, into it, they start producing a lot. Now all of a sudden their mind is just, oh my God, I'm paying these splits, right? So a lot of people want to bail around the 6 month mark, but then they continue that, and now they're really busy. They're closing 4, 5, 6, 10 deals a month, whatever that may be, and then they really see the power in the team and the structure at that point. With that. So we found, man, I mean, when we didn't have a contract, we lost so many people at that 6 month mark.
But if you get them through that 6 month mark, they start to appreciate what the support that the team is offering.
Yeah. Once they hit that year mark, right? And then the other thing too is
that's huge. So that's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other thing too is when it comes to retention, I've created a progressive split model. Right. So when I talked about the splits earlier, those are for agents that we're giving all the leads, we're doing everything for. Well, eventually, a seasoned agent that's maybe with you for 2 years and they're closing, netting several $100,000 a year, and they're like, dude, I know how to generate my own leads now. I'm getting a ton of repeat referral business now. I don't necessarily need those numbers or need the leads from you guys. I still like the systems, the training, the support, but whatever. So we have a progressive split plan on there. So if they want to go out there and self-procure their own deals, we have it where it's 70% for the first 20 deals that they do. So they get 70%, I get 30. They get everything that we offer on the team, but they don't get leads, and they don't. There are leads and our ISAs. They don't get any of that, right? So at that point, though. Because you get certain costs inside your business, like my website and certain things that as you add more people, it doesn't necessarily cost you more money, right? And again, I know so even on that, if I do the math on that, my average commission is $18.68, right? So if it costs me $200 for a contract to close, right, for my support staff, my other costs are fixed. Right? I've already got the time investment into these people. So now they don't need their handheld. There's no time really involved. So then now, okay, I'm making, over $1,600 per transaction compared to nothing. And it creates that win-win. So then after those 20 deals, then it will go to an 80-20 with a max $1,500 dollar per commission split. So again, even there, I'm making at least, even if it's a listing, I'm still making $1,000 net per closing. And these are people that I have teammates, some of my top agents I haven't talked to in over a year, right? They're never in the office. They don't show up to meetings. They don't need to. They just want the systems, but then we create it in a way where they can't duplicate it on their own. Right? Now maybe if you just boil it down to just numbers financially, they could probably duplicate it. But at that point, you're gonna take on the financial risk. You gotta, you're your own PR, your HR person.
Take the time.
All of these things. Yeah. And we make where their lives just are so easy, and they don't have that pain. That they just continue going. So my retention used to be very bad. Now it's extremely good. I mean, per 10 agents,
you get them through that 6 month mark.
Yeah, between 10 agents that we hire, we lose 1. Right? So our retention is insane at this point.
That's awesome. And I think so. The key is, first of all, you've got to keep them. And I tell you, well, I have a question. So when you usually lose your team members, are you losing them? I would think the new agents would be the ones you would lose, because the agents who have been agents and been on their own that come to a team appreciate the support. But if they're given to you brand new, I think, was that where you were losing more agents, or do you think it was just did you find any pattern like that? Or
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to. When I say this, I don't want anybody to think that they should only target a certain type of agent.
Right.
Like I don't know anybody on this planet that has it down to a science of how to recruit the perfect person going into it, right? Because everybody's a badass on interview. I've had so many people where I'm like, oh man, I think this is a bad hire, and they shock the hell out of me and they become a rock star. I've had so many people where I'm like, oh, this is it. This person's going to be amazing, and they're a massive disappointment. So with this being said, I mean, we recruit a lot of new agents. We recruit seasoned agents. But if we broke it down onto averages, that agent that's been seasoned, but it's just kind of, I love agents, single agents that have been just kind of stuck at that like 3 million mark for years. Because I can take that person and I can go out there and triple their income in 12 months, right? And keep them now sustainable because they're a great realtor, right? They've lasted. They just need to have the systems and the support behind them, right? So it's kind of like, listing that expired, right? It's like, I love expireds because by this time, man, they're that much more apt to listen.
Exactly.
Yep.
Those are the best. Sometimes if they've expired twice, it's even better.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are really good ones. So, I want to know from you, we've talked a lot about teams, but just to get we probably should have started out a little more of this, but you've got a really cool, I mean, we know about the gym and how you started, but you were doing these 12 open houses, and how long was it, a week you did 12 open houses in or something crazy?
No, I mean, that was, so I went 18 months without listing one home. And that was, 70 some transactions.
Yeah.
But I was so focused on the buying because I was so good at it. And we still are, I mean, open houses today are still 48% of my business, right? So we still crush it.
So when you say open houses, that's the one day open house, or what you mean you said open houses, or you mean listings are 48% of your business?
No, open houses. 48% of our closings come from what we
wow. Okay, huge.
So we still dominate open houses, man. I don't know anybody that hits them harder than us. But so I mean, this year, if you look at my numbers, I mean that'll be over 500 closings this year that'll come just from open houses on my team. Wow. But the reason I got into listings and calling expireds is I didn't have any listings, right? So at that time, and I didn't think of other strategies like I use now. Like I love calling for sell by owners to set up my open houses because then, it leads to me getting those listings and developing those relationships. But at the time, I didn't think about that stuff, right? So I was having to beg agents in my office in our brokerage every single week to allow me to sit their open houses multiple times a week, right? So it got to the point where I'm like, man, I mean, at my peak, I was probably spending 12 to 15 hours a week just begging agents to do their open houses, do my open houses. And I'm like, I'm investing this time anyway, man, and this sucks. I have this proven model with open houses, but I have a vulnerability in my business because I don't have my own inventory to do my open houses at. So at that time, and this is after I hired my first assistant, we decided to put all of our efforts, instead of recruiting agents to use it as open houses, to go after expireds. So I would do the dials every single day. I stole different parts of a letter that we still use today that crushes it with expired. So expired hits the market. They get this letter day one, then every 21 days up to 6 months, and then every 6 months to 3 years, and they get a call on that same plan. So she would stuff the envelopes every day. I would do the calls every single day, and then that's when our listing business really started.
That's huge. Well, because it makes me think about, because you've got I don't know if you want to talk about your 24-hour or your one day listing, because it's like you can't, rather than beg agents for open houses, just go beg sellers for open houses. Just let you have an open house. I mean, that's brilliant. Just go have you just need the open house, and then next thing you know, you got the listing. That's genius.
Yeah, so I can elaborate on that real quick. And I know it gets kind of confusing because I do have a 1-day listing agreement, unique selling proposition that's inside my business. So we do that instead of the fire me guarantee because it just creates more curiosity. But the number one concern home sellers have, and it's been this way for 17 years straight across the country, is being stuck in a contract with an agent long term. Yeah. It says they're going to do all this stuff and then underperform. So I mean, I do a 6-month listing agreement, but inside the additional terms in the listing agreement states inside there, this is my regular listings, right? States in there, if after 24 hours of your home being on the MLS, as long as we do not have an accepted purchase contract, if you want to cancel for any reason, you can do so without any cost, hassle, or obligation. So we give them an out. And the cancellation rate is almost non-existent, right? People, I don't even know if they remember it, right? It's on our marketing pieces. It gets us to the kitchen table. It gives them, because like I tell them, I'm like, you can't make a mistake with me. Right? I don't believe in contracts. I believe in accountability. I'm going to do everything I said I'm going to do. And if I don't, fire me and hire that other agent tomorrow. You can't make a mistake with me, right? And that works really well especially with expireds, right? Because that's a huge concern for them. Now, the other thing that you're talking about is our for sale by owner open house approach, right? So we go to for sale by owners, and we offer to do a free open house. So I'll call them up and, be like, hey, Jerry, Joshua Smith here, Vista Real Estate Group. Just so you know, this is not a sales call. At no point will I ask you for a commission, will I ask you for a listing. I know you're getting bombarded with agents that are doing that. I know how annoying that is. You have my word. I'll never ask you for a commission. Look, I get what you're trying to do. You're trying to sell your house for top dollar without paying an agent a commission so you can put as much money in your pocket as you possibly can. And I get it, man. Even though I'm a real estate agent, when I sell my own houses, I hate paying that commission too. So I respect it. I understand it. Yeah. I've actually come up with a huge win-win program that will help you sell your house for top dollar as well as help me. And it's called my mega open house event. These aren't your typical open house events. We spend about a week marketing it. We have a very, very high level proven marketing campaign where we drive a lot of traffic through our open houses. Our average open house gets 75 people through. Now, I can't promise your home will sell at this open house, but what I can promise you is that we're going to exponentially increase your exposure and your likelihood and your chances of finding an offer. Real estate's a numbers game. The more people you get through your property, higher likelihood you have somebody falling in love with your home and wanting to write an offer. If I get a buyer, and of course, I'm not saying this fast to them. I'm just doing it. Time on the podcast, but if I get an offer, or if I get a buyer that's interested, I'm going to give you the buyer. You take the buyer. You don't owe me a cent. At no point will I ever ask you for a commission. Now, some of my for sale by owner clients will ask me to do the paperwork and be involved. And if you want me to do that, I'll do it at 3% compared to my normal fee of 6% because your house isn't listed on the market. But again, I'll never ask you for a commission. So you have to come to me to ask me for that. So that's why it's a win for you. We're going to exponentially increase your likelihood of finding a buyer. If I get that buyer, boom, I give them to you. You don't pay a commission and you accomplish your goals. Now, people's like bullshit detectors are bigger than ever. So you got to be honest of why it's a win for you. So here's why it's a win for me. Our average open house event gets 75 people through in your area. Let's say one person loves your house, wants to buy your house. I'm going to give you that one person. I had 74 other people through that I was able to connect with, that I was able to get them to register, get their sign-in information, talk to them, tour them, identify their goals. I'm going to get them into my database. I'm going to follow up with them, and I guarantee you there's going to be 1 or 2 sales out of that. So I'm going to go out there and make a bunch of money, and you're going to go out there and hopefully save a bunch of money, and we help each other accomplish our goals. Right? So then from there, so here's the cool part about it, because so many people are like, why the hell would you do that? Even when I'm explaining this to my broker, like, why would you ever want to do that? Why would you work
a lot of brokers are going to not be big fans of that.
Now, I mean, the problem with brokers is most of them are just incompetent, right? So when I say that, they're intelligent maybe with real estate law, but most brokers are failed real estate agents, right? And I have my whole philosophy on a broker is a broker exists to help me be as profitable as I possibly can while making sure that I don't get myself in trouble, right? And that's for a broker.
Keep you out of real estate jail.
So if I have a broker, if what I'm doing is compliant with the local law, and if I have a broker that tries to block me on that, dude, they're not going to be my broker for much longer. Like, I have no problem. To me, it's business, right? If somebody's going to block my business, they're out. Like, think how much time that we sacrifice from our families and our lives and whatever to have some broker just they're incompetent, not be able to back us on what we want to do. So so I'd be out in a heartbeat if that was the case. But then you got to also understand almost every objection in your life is a lack of education. right? So if I'm sitting there with a home seller and they have objections, it's because I haven't done a good enough job educating them properly in presentation. Same thing with my broker, right? Same thing if I'm getting an objection from my wife on how she doesn't want to, have sex tonight, right? Maybe I haven't educated her well enough on why it's a good idea, right? So every objection becomes lack of education.
Maybe she hasn't educated you well enough. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, right. So anyway, though, but here's why it's a win, and here's how my broker bought into it instantaneously. Is know the statistics, right? 92% of for sale by owners are unsuccessful. Only 8%.
Well, I'm already thinking that was my next question. Yeah.
And those that do sell on average for 16% less than the real estate sold property nationwide.
I think the statistic in Georgia is like 20. But yeah, exactly.
Yes, those are nationwide stats provided by NAR. So every area is going to be a little bit different, depending. Real estate's so hyper local. But anyway, you develop that relationship, and then, dude, I mean, we end up listing like 75% of these within three to 4 weeks of doing the open house. We've got the relationship, and of course, we have a very strategic follow-up plan, and after the fact, and of what we do to maintain that relationship. But I'm doing my open house, which is what I want to do. And then if I do an open house on my own listing, I already got that listing. And it's not doing a disservice to my sellers by not doing open houses there, because it's the most ineffective thing you can do to sell a house, right?
Exactly.
Half 1% of homes sell through an open house, right? So you do open houses to leverage the inventory you have to gain more business. So now I'm able to go to this seller, do an open house there, get the business that I want from the open house, develop a relationship with them, and then get their listing.
I would say, what's the conversion rate on these open houses that you're doing these free open houses for? Do they end up becoming a listing? Is it pretty high or?
Yeah, it's 74.7% right now is our conversion ratio for 2017.
That's huge.
And that's within it's under 4 weeks. Right. It's quick. It's not like it's a long-term thing.
Well, I think about how many for Sotheby owners people work for years and the calls and the this and that. And here you are. You just because the folk and we're going to need to wrap this up in about 5 minutes, which I hate because this is really good. But where I was going with that was you're thinking on a level of, I think a lot of us come into real estate and it's like, okay, how am I going to get the business? How am I, there's this box that we're in and it's all about just doing, it's just so like one thing at a time, getting the transaction. We think we have these rules that we work within, and it's like, you've kind of gone back here and go, okay, what's the real objective here? The real objective is get deals done, get houses sold, get people through houses, generate business. And you set up a model by kind of removing yourself from what we see as the rules and how it's supposed to be done to how it can get, like, forget all these rules and all the paradigm in which we think we're supposed to do stuff, focus on the results, and then think from this big level of how do we get those results? What are things we can do? And you've gotten them. It's huge. So, which I hate to close this out. This is awesome, but I want to ask you two things. I'll start with, so all of these systems, how much of this do you coach on? How many do you sell systems? You sell a CRM? What is it, the Silent Storm? What is the name of the CRM that you've got?
So perfectstormnow.com is the website CRM, which we teach people how to lead generate, how to leverage that, how to become the information portal. We have video strategies that we teach on, and then the back end system. I've custom wrote every single script in there. So all these drip plans for what any lead source you can think of is essentially in there. They're 1,000-day long out drip plans over 3 years. So we have that. It's $200 a month. I also just out of demand, because like I was talking about with coaching, people. I mean, the reality is, my time at this point is worth. I break it down to minutes. So I'm at $47 a minute. For the calculation of my time. So most realtors can't afford to come pay me $2,500 for a 60-minute phone call, right? So and to be honest with you, in 60 minutes. For that $2,500 investment, I don't know if that's going to be much value for them. So I wanted to go out there and create the most affordable, effective program I could. That was a win-win. So it's all group platform, but it's called our 90-day mastery bootcamp, where we walk them through.
Which we'll put all of this stuff on the podcast and on the site and all of that good stuff too. So.
Yeah. So it's only $997 if you use. It's actually $1,500, but if you use promo code Live Mastery.
Mastery.
All one word. Yep. LIVEMASTERY. It gets it for $997. But yeah, we spend 3 hours every single week. Everything's recorded, so you get lifetime access to it. But we go through the live sessions, and I just give everything I have in my business away. We give all these trackers we're talking about. We give all our processes. We give even when I get a listing. Here's how I leverage that listing with these postcards. And I've had my graphic designers even create everything where everything's fully editable. You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
That's incredible.
We start. There's nothing that we don't cover. We cover everything from your tracking to your goal setting. So every single day when you come in the office exactly how much effort you need to be taking. Of course, presentations, listing buyer presentations. Yeah. You spend 7 hours alone just on lead generation, lead follow, and then we of course lead follow up, and then we evolve into is because it's a 12-week program, we end up evolving into growing a team, recruiting, hiring, the interview process, how to run ads, training your people, running meetings, how to eventually exit the business. Right? We talk.
You haven't missed anything.
High-level finances, and I provide all of our proven P&L trackers for your business, your profit and loss statements, but not just for your business, also for your personal finance as well, it's a pretty insane in-depth program. So that's at 90daymastery.com.
All right, so as we kind of close this out, which like I said, I want to keep talking. We may have to figure out how to do this again, but So what is your if there's one piece of advice you want to give to anybody that's either getting into the business or ready to take their business to the next level, what would that be?
So get clarity on what you want. Right? Because business is so damn difficult. The failure rate is so massive. Yeah. When you really break it down, it's only a few percent of entrepreneurs that ever truly make it, right? So you've got to get clarity on what you want and why you want it and why it's important to you, because otherwise you won't push those tough times. In this podcast, we talked a lot about, successes, but you guys got to understand, as a realtor for those 12 years, 6 of those years, over half of my career has been massive struggle, right? So yeah, we were growing, but growth pains can be worse than slow pains. And, it's not easy. So get clarity on what you want and work your ass off. Because at the end of the day, we all know the end game. Like we all know that we're leaving the planet, right? So, okay, I'm 35 years old today. Let's just say I lived to the average age of the average human being in a developed country to 84 years old. So I know at 84 years old, I'm peacing out. Now, some of us may have faith that there's something after the fact, but we don't know. That's called faith, right? So
but what you know for now,
all I know is I know what the end result of this life is. Yeah. So then it's get clarity on what do you want to do? What do you want to create? Right? You got this blank canvas. What do you want to paint? What do you want to create? And what do you want to go do out there? And work your ass off every damn day to go out there and create it, right? Because it's when people, obviously I'm in the health club space, and I try to take care of my health to a very high level. And aesthetically, I just like having I like looking good with my shirt off, right? So exactly. I don't take cheat days. When people are like, "Oh, do you take days?" I'm like, "Why would I take a day off?" Right? Why would I pause awesomeness? Right? No, I want to go out there and create.
But you should love what you do. It's like you and I talked. But go ahead. But then
of course you get people that are coming out. Oh, don't you want to see your wife and your kids? And that's sad, Josh. I'm like, no, dude. I spend more time with my wife and my kids than anybody I know out there. Right? But I'm structured, right? I don't have a day where I don't work, but I also don't have a day, unless I'm traveling, which is very rare, where I don't also see my family, right? Mm-hmm. So, but it's a ton of work, but man, it's so fulfilling, it's so rewarding, it's so worth it. So, and everybody that's listening to this, you have infinite potential. Don't ever have this limiting belief that you can't do it. I scored the lowest on the ACT and my whole entire, graduating class, right? I couldn't get accepted into college.
That was the omen of your success right there. It's awesome.
Right. So I've been broke. I've been depressed. At one point, I was literally ready to execute on my suicide. We've all been there. Your past doesn't define. You get clarity on what you want. Work your ass off every single day to go make it reality, because I promise it's going to be worth it.
You're incredible. Joshua, thank you so much for sharing so much with us. I think we've already got it, but I'll make sure we've got all of your contacts, your website, your CRM, your podcast, the 90-day boot camp, all that good stuff. You're incredible. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for the kind words. It was an honor.